Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew-Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew-Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew-Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew-Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew-Built Conicals. You can trust Brew-Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew-Built at morebeer.com.
Today's Sunday session is brought to you thanks to the fine folks at More Beer. Visit them right now at morebeer.com.
Today's show is also brought to you in part by Brew Swag. And Brew Swag is giving away a free Jaded Hydra Wort Chiller. Jaded Brewing has reimagined what an immersion chiller can do, and the Hydra Wort Chiller can chill your wort down in minutes. Enter to win today at brewswag.com and click on Free Swag. That's brewswag.com and click on Free Swag.
I poured it in my mouth and it just wasn't going down.
My first beer was an IPA, the best IPA I've ever drank, mostly because I brewed it.
If you have a scale that is good for measuring cocaine, you're probably good for measuring hops on cocaine.
You're scaring me.
I think the information is awesome and the audio sucks.
Make some sugary water, throw some yeast in there.
And you're going to drink good beer.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's fine.
God damn it, man. Oh, my God.
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Session. I'm your host, Justin Crosley. I'll be here all night.
All night, huh?
At least.
Oh, maybe even tomorrow.
Yeah, at least all night. Back in the studio after a little week off last week, a little unexpected week off, so happy to be back here. JP is out sick.
Is he still taking the week off?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
He's very specific when he calls in sick. He said he just got up from a nap and he had a 100-degree fever, which I feel like that's just you had too many blankets on.
Right. Did he go to...
Those are bed sweats.
It's not a fever, right?
He went to bed with a hot pack on his forehead.
Yeah, and he's like, wow, sure am sick.
Yeah.
No JP tonight, but we do have Tasty and Beardy in the studio, as always. Yeah. So, and a great show we've got planned for you tonight. Actually, a brewery out of Tasty's home state.
St. Louis.
Yeah, so the Civil Life Brewing Company out of St. Louis, Missouri is going to be on the program. We're going to be talking to their head brewer, Dylan Mosley, and I'm excited to hear about their beers. JP will be disappointed in missing this one. Not a single IPA sent in.
Oh.
Session brewers.
Yeah.
Something to be thankful for.
Got some session beer, some English ales, an American brown ale, Tasty.
Yep, that's one of their flagships, I see.
Yeah.
Oh. Janus Brown?
No, it's not that.
We'll have to taste it.
Janus Brown's a brown IPA.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's misnamed.
There you go. Well, so we'll be trying their beers and talking about all of that as we get through things. Did everybody have a nice Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah. What did you do, Tasty? Kids?
I ate stovetop stuffing.
You did?
That stuff's the bomb.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 times, stovetop's better than anything you get at anybody's house.
Yeah,
they fuck it up every time.
You're right.
Stovetop, they get it right. 9 out of 10 times.
It's easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
You spend it with your boys?
They were there and some other family. It was great.
Okay. Yeah. Are either of your boys married?
Yeah, one's married.
One, okay.
One, I got a 2-year-old. And,
you are Grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
One of your boys is 2?
One of my grandsons will be 2 on 12/25.
Okay.
It's an unusual birthday.
Right.
Oh, Christmas.
Yeah. Is his name Jesus?
No, we don't roll that way.
Okay.
It's Jesus.
Yeah, it's Jesus.
And Beardy, you spent the holiday with your family?
Yeah, drove down to Santa Cruz.
Okay.
And then came back up here and spent it with you.
Yeah. We did the after party at my place, which lasted, I think, 3 days or some ridiculous thing.
Yeah, I left Saturday, I think.
Yeah, as we do. Got crazy. Got to hang out with Bevo. And
it's Blackout Friday.
Little
It's
Abigail.
the day after Thanksgiving.
That is Blackout Friday. Yeah, started Bloody Marys early in the morning and kept right on going. It was a good time. I like Thanksgiving. It's a good holiday. Well, if you're listening to this live, you still got time to get in on our Cyber Monday sale in the BN store. Also, we put a bunch of our stuff on sale, up to like 50% off on some of it. So I saw a few of you guys buying some things today, and you still got a little time if you're listening live right now. Just go to thebrewingnetwork.com, click on the store, and you can get yourself some cool stuff for cheap.
On sale, yeah.
On sale, yeah.
And then click on that Amazon link as you're leaving to
there you go.
buy the rest of your shit.
Right.
That's right. The rest of your Cyber Monday stuff. Yeah. Hope you guys have been using that all day. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, get on that.
All right, I'll do some announcements for you. Things that we always like to let you know about. And announcements are brought to you today by Drake's Brewing Company. Go over to drinkdrakes.com right now, and you can check them out. And coming up this Saturday, December 1st, for them is their Hazy Days of Winter Hazy IPA Festival. And they're donating $5 from every ticket of the event up to the North Valley Community Foundation, which is to help with the campfire relief that you may have heard about up here in Northern California. Money will support evacuees, first responders, and the communities of Paradise, which is the town that got completely wiped out, as well as the surrounding communities. So you can go over to drinkdrakes.com right now and click on, there's a big logo right there. It says Hazy Days of Winter. You can go buy your tickets. That's this Saturday, December 1st, from 11:30 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon, and your beer drinking goes to a good cause. And I think all beer drinking should go to a good cause.
Yeah, have one beer with me. I'll be there.
There you go. All right. We got some new shows out there I've been telling you about. Shine Runner Craft Marketing, for those of you in the professional craft brewing business, if you want to learn more about distributing and marketing and sales. And Mark covers everything in that podcast, so check that out. And as I mentioned on our last episode, coming up soon, our Hop and Brew School podcast, which is brought to you by Yakima Chief Hops. And we're going to be covering all things hops from A to Z, and I'm really excited about that. We recorded a few episodes, and we're just going to launch I'm hoping to get the first one launched this Thursday. I'm just waiting to hear. I'm waiting for my graphic designer to finish the new logo for it, so I can get it all published up to iTunes and all that. So stay tuned for that new one as well. As I've been letting you know, I know it's a little ways out, but I just want you to keep saving the date for our Spring Brews Festival. That's March 30th. 2019. It's a Saturday. It's going to be a great time. We sell out every year now, and the brewers just love it. In fact, I'd say more than half of our breweries have already responded and answered. So even our brewery spots will sell out. Yep. We'll have to turn people away at some point.
They're in the wouldn't miss it category.
Yeah, which I'm really happy about. It's our 10th anniversary.
Yeah, and everyone's been great. So no matter everybody wants to go.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. As Tasty mentioned, you can do your Amazon shopping through us. Just click the Amazon link on the homepage. You can also subscribe to BYO Magazine through us. That's a great way to support us and get yourself a great magazine. Click that link. All this is on the left side navigation of our homepage. You can subscribe and join the BN Army. And for little as $2 a month, you're entered into the More Beer monthly donation giveaway. And they give away $100 every month to one of our BN Army members. So that's a great way to support us, too. This show, of course, is brought to you by More Beer. And they want to change your malt game with Miking Vault. Miking Vault.
Miking. Oh, another brand, huh?
Man, I didn't even get to the word that stumps me at. Viking Malt. Hailing from Northern Europe, Viking Malt is a family-owned malt house since 1883 and the largest specialty producer of malt in the world. Their base malts are malted from null-lox varietals that don't contain the enzyme lipoxygenase. Beardy, how'd I do?
I think you did it.
All right. Which leads
Fourth time's a charm.
Trans 2-nonenal in beer, which is responsible for those stale cardboard flavors. So head over to morebeer.com right now and brew with ingredients from the future, they say. All right. You can get updates over on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and we send photos, and Kim Shimke does a great job keeping you up to date over there. Send your feedback to this show to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. That's feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. We love to hear from you. And send your show ideas over to bevo@thebrewingnetwork.com. Well, no JP today, but I'm going to do the Twitter game anyway. How about that? Yeah, I'll do it.
It's the Thanksgiving miracle.
It won't be the same. Okay.
That's right. It won't be hardly as entertaining, I'm sure. But still, today's Twitter game is brought to you today by the Wine and Hop Shop. Go to wineandhop.com, and they've been locally owned and operated in the Madison, Wisconsin area for over 40 years. Most of their items ship within 24 hours, and BN listeners get $8 flat rate shipping on orders under 25 pounds. So enter BN shipping in the notes field of the shopping cart, and then you'll get that discount after checkout. Also, Madison residents, you can order your homebrew supplies online at wineandhop.com and then pick them up at Working Draft Beer Company, located on Wilson Street, right across from Central Park. They'll waive the shipping and give you half off your first beer at Working Draft Beer Company. Check it all out at wineandhop.com. All right, well, the holidays are officially upon us. I left the house briefly over the weekend and noticed everywhere I went, the Christmas music is on and the Christmas trees are up. It's Christmas season, I guess.
That stuff's been up for a month. You haven't left in a while.
Oh, really? I thought you had to wait till after Thanksgiving.
Oh, stores don't anymore.
Really?
They wait for Halloween, maybe.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get in the spirit around here, too. So today's Twitter game is, what should we buy Bevo for Christmas? I never know what to get Bevo. And if all of the folks at the Brewing Network, you know our personalities. If we were to get something together for Bevo, what would it be?
We care about her so much.
Yeah.
We're outsourcing this year's gift for her.
That's right. What should the Brewing Network buy Bevo for Christmas? That's today's Twitter game, brought to you today by the Wine and Hop Shop. All right. Got a little feedback this week, some long-winded ones. Feedback's brought to you today by the Beer Law Center. Go to beerlawcenter.com. Check them out. John will take care of your trademark and your brewery filings and everything you need him to do. Go over to beerlawcenter.com. Charles in Chicago writes, this topic is, should I fire an employee?
Okay.
He says,
it's up to us to decide?
I guess so. He wants our advice. Right. He says, so my employee at the liquor store I manage came out of the back stating, it's a good day, boys. The haze craze is alive and well. He says it's taken all I have not to fire him so far. Should I discipline him anyway? Love the show. Hope to get some help in this matter from some of the experts. Charles in Chicago. Beardy says fired.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I say don't fire. Tasty?
Well, it is a business. I mean, I assume they want to make money and sell as much beer as they can.
And maybe try selling the most popular style there is?
If that's what people want, I would definitely sell the shit out of that stuff. So
it sounds to me like you're saying promote him.
I would give him a raise.
Yeah, I think so too, Tasty. Good job.
I wouldn't drink much of that beer, but, that's not my, it's a business.
There you go.
Or you could educate your customers on clear beer and the importance of good quality.
Good luck.
Does anybody have any success with that, by the way?
Exactly. Good luck with that.
Just saying.
Not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, if there was some movement in that direction, I'd say, yeah, let's do this. I don't see anything going on. It's going the other way.
All right. Here's an interesting question, guys. Nick writes in, he says, so it's only because of the proximity of these two podcasts to each other that I noticed this. So if you're interested, I guess he actually attached the relevant part of the conversation. But I guess in part of the interview with Plan B Farm Brewery, the brewer owner, Evan Watson, asked Justin if the brewcasters are going to shit all over his beer after the interview is over. And I said, of course, no. And then I identified how you can know if we don't like the beer on the show. And that is usually by it's really quiet in the studio.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he says, I couldn't help but notice the crickets from the guys during the recent interview with Wolf Hills Brewing Company. It says, about the only compliment, if it's really a compliment, was Justin saying they've got their fermentation dialed in. And the other guys only said something about the screwed up sour cream ale. So, what did you guys really think of their beers? And if they were shit or less than stellar, why not talk about it? Okay. I'm going to answer the last question first. If they're shit or less than stellar, why not talk about it? And part of that is that it's not really our place here to tell you whose beer is shit. We do try our best to diplomatically bring up if there are issues, but guests come on here in their own free time, and it's a little bit. Well, frankly, it's just rude if we just sit here and say that the beer is shit. So in the whole, I think, career, the lifespan of the Brewing Network, we've never really done that with guests. And I just don't think it's the right thing to do.
I don't see the upside to that at all.
You're also kind of blindsiding them. In some ways, in order to do that, I would have to have a sit down with each and every guest and say, hey, if the beer's bad, we're going to go ahead and rip it apart. And I think you might find that that'd be a little bit difficult to get, some guests sometimes. On the other hand, it would go over great with certain guests. Some guests really don't mind talking about their beer in very, real and honest ways. Mm-hmm. But, I always say nobody listens to the show, but the fact is people really do. And for me to give out a negative opinion like that could potentially hurt their business. People talk about it. I'm surprised all the time when I go places and people remember the things that we've said on this show, all kinds of things. So that's the best I can do to answer why we don't and why we wouldn't talk about it. We do try the best we can to bring up little things, but it's just never really going to happen or be the right thing to do to say, hey, your beer's shit. Thanks for coming on the program. It's just not nice.
Right.
I also think that while I think you're absolutely right, if there's like a apparent flaw, you'll talk about it. Like, oh, I taste a little of this. But taste is very subjective. Like, I took home some of the beer from that episode, the honey something or other. Mm-hmm. I loved it. Yeah. I drank all 3 cans.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's subjective. It's what you like and what you don't like, and everything that you like, I don't like, and everything that I like, you don't like.
Right.
Well, I don't agree with the writer's observation that I didn't. I like their beer. I said I like their beer. I meant I like their beer. I think I didn't. A lot of times the brewery will be on, and I'll go like, "Oh man, your beers are awesome. I'd love to come to your pub and drink beer." I don't say that to everybody. Yeah. But if I say I like your beer, I'm done. I really do.
Right. Yeah. And so, let me go back to that, too, because I wasn't skirting over that question to admit that I didn't like the beer. I actually like the beer quite a lot. And I think you found that even when with this particular guest, by the way, with Wolf Hills, he sent us a mistake beer for us to talk about. And we very much did that. And I liked that beer a lot. That was the beer. It was a cream ale that accidentally went sour. But we actually spoke at length about how it went sour in the right ways, with the clean type of, I hate using that word, the right type of bacteria and bugs to make it taste like a sour beer you're kind of familiar with, as opposed to it being overly stale or cardboardy or cheesy. It was none of those things that can happen. It was a really nice lactobacillus sour flavor. And so we did like the beers in this episode quite a bit.
Yeah. I remember liking both versions of the blonde ale.
Yeah.
And I think the other two were IPAs, if I remember. I don't know. That was a whole 2 weeks ago. You expect me to remember what the beer tasted like?
Right. But I do feel like this, I should maybe say a little bit more about even my statement that when we don't like the beer when we don't have much to say. While that can be true, I do tend to exaggerate about everything. And there are also times when there's just not a lot to talk about the beer in general, and that doesn't mean that it's not good. Sometimes it's just a very classic style that we've talked about 100 times, and we don't go into it. So I guess I'm saying it's not a foolproof way to tell that we don't like the beer when we've got nothing to say.
Yeah. Especially if one person summarizes the beer very well. It doesn't It doesn't do the show any service to everyone walk around or go around the room saying the same thing
and repeat it. Yeah, and I find that to happen that on the occasions when I am able to describe it well, I kind of look around the room, everyone's staring at me, but I've learned it's you already did it.
You took my words away.
Right.
Yeah. Anyhow, there's probably, there's a good bunch of times you can go back and listen and figure out which beers we're not too excited about with the same method, though.
It's not a bad measure.
Yeah.
It just didn't apply in this case.
Yeah, I'm not trying to ditch what I said by any means. It's certainly one of the factors, not all of them. But in the case of Wolf Hill's not the case. We all like the beer. Took some home of it with me myself, actually.
And you guys complain when JP and I complain about hazy beers. So now you want us to tell you when we think a beer sucks?
Right.
Nobody was winning here.
Yeah. But you know what? Like I said when I started this email, Nick, I thought that was a great question and a good observation, and I'm glad that you wrote in and asked us. I wonder if anybody else felt the same way, and so I'm glad we got to talk about it a little bit. So thanks for writing in. I appreciate that. Then JP sent me a long spam of the week, but I'm gonna skip that one. Even if he was here, I'd do it. It's a little bit funny. Here's a long one.
Not spam.
Yeah, Chris writes in that he wanted to send an email to thank us for a recent accomplishment. He says, I truly feel would not be possible without everything I've learned from listening to you guys over the years. He recently won North Carolina, South Carolina homebrew competition hosted by Terrapin Brewing Company. And the challenge was to brew a fruited IPA. So I guess the competition was open to residents of both North Carolina and South Carolina and ended up with around 250 entries. He says, I was real excited when I advanced through the first round of judging, leaving just 7 of us for the finalists. And on October 27th, my name and beer were announced as the grand prize winner.
Whoa.
So the first weekend of December, so I guess that's coming up here, my wife and I get to travel to Terrapin and brew my recipe with Spike, the brewer there. It'll be a 5-barrel batch and served at their tap room. And he says, I first learned of Terrapin and Spike while listening to Can You Brew It, which, of course, is Jamil and Tasty's show here on the Brewing Network. And you guys tried to brew their Wake and Bake.
That's right.
He says, I listened to that episode multiple times. And it goes on and on and on. Did a bunch of stuff. Cool. So, wait.
You said this was Chris White?
No, I just said it was Chris.
Oh, Chris.
Yeah. Anyway, he also met us, a bunch of us at NHC at our BN after party there, and was excited to meet us. So, hey, congratulations, Chris.
Yeah, nice work.
That's a good job you did there. Love it. I guess I kind of skipped over what he brewed.
Oh, what is Terrapin winning?
Oh, no,
it was a fruited IPA.
No, actually, he didn't even give it. Was a different one.
Oh.
He was given a recipe of a whole other beer. Okay, and let's see what's this one here. Apparently somebody's using the Heads and Tails theme song. Anthony writes in, if you've heard the Kohl's ad on radio and TV, they're using the Heads and Tails theme song. Heard it in the car, turned up the volume. My wife is like, why are you turning up the radio for a Kohl's commercial? And he said, because it's a song from the BN, of course. I remember JP talking about how he bought the song. I wonder if someone in the Kohl's ad department is a BN Army member.
We have the people at Beer Law Center going after Kohl's for using that song.
Right.
No, it's one of those semi-royalty free that you can license for cheap.
Yeah. That's happened to me too. Back when we were doing TV stuff too, and different videos, Push would put in some music, and then I'd be watching like HGTV or other reality bullshit and hear the same. Everyone uses the same royalty free music, and there's only so many good ones, by the way. So it's no surprise that you end up using the same one.
Yeah, I think I did see one of those TV commercials, and I was like, wait a second.
Right. He does go on to say, also, speaking of music, where the hell is Doc? He says that Weezer puts out a cover of Africa, and Doc is nowhere to be found. Doc does hate Toto, so you're right. Although, I'll just cover that really quick. You know what? Even if Doc was here, I wouldn't play the Weezer cover of Africa.
It's not good.
No, it's almost identical to the original one. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So as musicians, I'm like, okay, good job, guys. Like, you nailed it.
Cover, right.
But then why not just listen to the other one? Because all you did was nail it.
Right. You prove that you play music just as good as Toto.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I remember I was excited to hear them do it because I'm a Weezer fan and I like that song. So I was like, oh, it's going to be good. And I'm listening. I'm like waiting for some variation.
No.
It's identical.
Didn't come.
Anyway. Apparently they just used to cover it at their shows. And so fans asked them to do a recording. Now there I could see being really excited that they played it and did an identical version.
Sure.
Because you'd be watching a live band and you'd be like, oh, here's this cover, and holy crap, they nail it.
Yeah.
But on the record, give me something. Doc's still on hiatus, taking care of himself, doing his thing. He's fine. I think I saw him a week or so ago, but just not doing the shows. He got a lot going on, and we decided he was going to take a little break.
He was at Oktoberfest for the local people.
Oh, that's true. He was at Oktoberfest. Having a good time, as usual. Mm-hmm. All right, that's your feedback for today. I'll get us to a break here, and that way
spam free.
Didn't need the spam. It was kind of a funny one. Like I said, JP was here. It was like it was written in the first person as a dog who's on the streets and needs money. It was very, so that, all right. Like playing on your heartstrings so that you send money to like this rescue foundation.
The dog who learned how to type an email.
It was written pretty poorly. But for the sake of time, we're just going to move on. But before we do that, I did want to remind you about our AHA member deal that's happening between now and the end of the year. If you use coupon code BN2018 between now and the end of the year for any new or renewal membership through the Brewing Network, you'll receive a free copy of both Wild Brews and Farmhouse Ales. All you got to do is click on the Join the AHA link on the left side navigation of the Brewing Network website and use coupon code BN2018. At checkout, you get yourself 2 free books, Wild Brews and Farmhouse Ales. So it's active now. Go do that if you need to renew or if you just want to get your membership and you never had one. I highly recommend you do. You get Zymergy Magazine, and the pub discount program alone is worth every penny. So go check it out. All right. Why don't we take us a little break? And when we come back, as promised, the Civil Life Brewing Company will be joining us on the program, and I'm excited to try their beer. Hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
First Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today. this session.
Because life's too short to listen to crappy radio.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. As promised, we're going to have Civil Life Brewing Company on with us in just a moment. Before we do that, go check out beersmith.com. Get your free 21-day free trial of the best brewing software on the market, so you don't have to take my word for it. And Beersmith 3 is now out with support for mead, wine, and cider recipes, plus mash pH estimation and adjustments with the built-in recipe builders. New support for hop whirlpool editions, including time and temperature for each item. You name it, it's got it. Go over to beersmith.com right now and get your free 21-day free trial. All right. In the meantime, the Civil Life Brewing Company's Dylan Mosley should be on the line with us. Hey, Dylan, you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you just fine. Thanks for being on the program.
Oh, no problem at all.
How's it in St. Louis right now? Is it getting cold and wintry for you yet?
Yeah, it's good and cold tonight for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for sending us beer to keep us warm here in the studio. I'm excited to learn all about what you do there. How long has the Civil Life Brewing Company been open?
We opened in 2011 and started brewing beer a couple months before we opened in September.
Okay. Just to get ready for the opening, or were you distributing outside of the pub before you opened the pub?
No, we were brewing to get ready to open. We didn't start distribution until after our first year was under our belt.
I see. Okay. But you do have a pub there like that. In fact, it seems to me like the pub environment is kind of your forte. It's something that you really like about the craft beer industry.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I think any brewery is really missing out if they don't have that point of connection with people. Jake Hafner, the owner of Civil Life, myself, Mike Bianco, and Joe Mooney had all worked together previously at Jake's previous wine bar. And so being bartenders, we never really wanted to lose that connection. And so when we opened Civil Life, we knew the pub was the number one place to start.
Got it. It is a great way to be able to just speak directly with your customers too, right?
Yeah, and selfishly as a brewer, it's the best way to keep track of how your product's doing.
Right.
It's a bit of a, it's a little like sending your kids off to school without, having total parental eye on them at all times. So, having your beer out in the market can be a little, worrisome at times, but there are places that take good care of it, and some places we wish they'd improve.
Right. And what about the feedback that you get in your pub from customers? I find that, like with Yelp reviews, for example, I actually really like Yelp.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to find out about local places. But, you have to learn to read in between the reviews, right? You got to know who kind of knows what they're talking about and who's a nut job. And so I've never complained about Yelp because to me it's fairly obvious when someone's a nut job. And kind of the same I'm thinking when they come into your pub. Like you might have people just completely off base about your beer, but you also want to hear their feedback?
Yeah, it's funny, and I think maybe I have two answers. Although as I get talking, I'll probably forget at least one of the answers here.
Okay.
But when you've got people in the pub, if you feel like they're feeling like they're having a good night, you've really succeeded on a number of levels, and it's really difficult to. You're never going to really know what somebody's experience is, how much they like something. So, if they're having a good night and they're keeping up conversation and it appears like they're having a good time, chances are good they like your beer.
Yeah.
Very few people are going to sit and have that kind of conversation with a beer they don't like.
You're right.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. Keep going.
Yeah, well, the other thing I was going to say is you said you like Yelp. One of the things I really like is I like Untapped. And it's a way for people to download an app, rate beer, give it some stars. They might even say a little bit about it, but they don't really even have to get into it. They could just rate it 1 star or 5 stars and be done with it. And at times that's a really frustrating app because you're like, okay, you rated this beer really highly, but this beer very poorly. And you don't always know why. But sometimes when you drill down inside of that person's likes and wants and things like that, you can kind of line things up and say, okay, they didn't like my brown beer, but I see their top 5 beers are all Hefeweizen or whatnot. So it's kind of a way to kind of make things, you don't have to get too fancy with your language and rating stuff, but you can kind of understand where they're coming from, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think so too. And I think you're right about the pub environment. You can tell when people are having fun. I was just in a pub recently, and the pub was really, it wasn't a brewery, just a pub. Great reviews, but everyone in there there wasn't much talking going on. It was half full, but it was so quiet and calm that I just thought, God, these people are not enjoying themselves here. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Like the noise level will come up a little bit and the smiles. And I really agree with you. You can tell.
They're enjoying the beer more than each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, in our pub, we have another layer of protection in that we don't have TVs. So we don't lose people to just whatever happens to be on. People are entertaining themselves through conversation, playing darts, whatever. So not having the TV is kind of an advantage in that department too.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, this is your first professional brewing gig, right? You were a home brewer before this?
That's correct, yeah.
How did you land that without professional experience?
Well, I came in through the back door into the brewery. Jake and I had, like I had mentioned earlier, I'd worked for Jake at his wine bar for some period of time that, before we really kind of started talking about brewing. And so I had a homebrew party here at my house, and Jake and a bunch of people from the bar and some friends were all over, and it was kind of at that time where Jake was leaning toward getting out of the wine business, but he wasn't entirely sure how to roll that business up and put it into something else. And there was maybe just something about that event where he felt like, well, it's not wine and making beer and distributing beer is not what I'm doing now, but it's a similar enough business that maybe I can get something to kind of roll into this and keep some momentum going. So, like I said, I just kind of came in through the back door on that one.
I have to assume that he had some of your homebrew and thought you were an exceptional brewer.
Well, the brews that we had up until that point, I think with a lot of home brewing, you have some things that are real gems. You have some other things that are kind of mysterious, and then you have some other stuff that you don't necessarily show all your friends.
Right.
And so, up until that point, I think actually most of the brewing I'd been doing would be a lot more what I would consider experimental, and which is really not the direction that our brewery has gone at all to this point. But I think there was something just inside of that nut of having somebody close to him that was really passionate about it and having kind of enough people in his corner that he felt like, well, I'm speaking too much for him. But,
that's okay.
If I think about it, I would think that he just felt like, we've got a good team here. We can make this work.
Well, that's important, too. We've had plenty of pro brewers come in here who are hiring brewers, and they actually sometimes don't want people with professional experience, too. They want to take them under their wing and just make it happen themselves. Now, I can imagine there's a lot of ways to hire out there. Yeah. Now, you did just mention that you guys haven't really gone the experimental route. Explain to our listeners what is your brewing philosophy there, and what styles of beer are you going for?
Well, I don't like to instantly start to rule styles of beer out, but what I would say is that by far, what we're really looking to set out is something that stands nicely in a pub on a dinner table, something that is going to hopefully give you an experience where you're wanting more of that beer or more of a similar kind of a beer. So what we're pushing is a lot of lower ABV beer. We're not a particularly hop forward brewery. We tend to stick to some fairly classic themes. And balance in our beer is very important. I know balance is a funny word, though, because you can talk about balance in a lot of different ways. But I think at the end of the day, what we're looking for is just kind of a nice classic pub beer.
Got it. So one of those examples we have in our glass right now, which is your Northern English Brown Ale. I actually have one of those right now here, too. Perfect. Yeah, you sent us a few beers, and we wanted to start with this one. I will point out, I think this is important. On your packaging, it doesn't just say Northern English Brown Ale. It says Northern English Styled Brown Ale. Why do you make that distinction?
Well, we're American, right?
There you go.
And there's a lot of stuff that you can do in a brewery to break down water and build it back up to really become very in line with another city's water profile. Mm-hmm. And we've never really gone down the road of replication. What we've tried to do, St. Louis has arguably some pretty good water already. And since we're sourcing grain and hops and yeast from all over the world, the water is really the one thing that we can say, this is St. Louis. So we don't play with the water too much. We make sure we've got good pH in the brewery and that we are creating a good beer. But the water profile being in St. Louis was important to us. So when we say that styled, it's like, well, we're meaningfully trying to push this beer toward a Northern English Brown experience, but it's not necessarily 100% Northern English Brown.
Got it. I like it. That's why I like that you put it on the can, too. I think that's important. I like this beer. It reminds me, I wish, so we've had a co-host here for years. He's on hiatus right now, but Doc used to make a Northern English Brown Ale like this too. And it's one of the recipes I tried to make a few times of his. I took it because I liked it so much. And this one reminds me of it. It's a fresher, more bold, a little more rich, like Newcastle. Mm-hmm. Whereas like the Newcastle, by the time we get it, obviously falls flat in several ways. But even a fresh Newcastle doesn't quite have like the bold kind of nutty coffee little roasties that this has that Doc's recipe used to have too. I really like that.
Yeah,
stands out.
What's the difference between a northern and a southern? Or why make the distinction, I guess?
Well, yeah, we do a Southern Brown as well, and as far as the way BJCP has categorized them in the past, Southerns tend to have just a little less ABV, and they do normally have a little less of a hop profile to them. Northerns are a little drier, a little higher ABV, and a little bit more noticeable hop.
Got it. Yeah, that's another thing that I noticed right when even the aroma of this beer, and then certainly in the flavor, is that you've got a little increased IBUs here. What kind of hops do you use in?
We've used a lot of different sorts of hops throughout a lot of our English beer, and it's strange because like when we get to like the ESB, we bittered with Chinook in the ESB, which is kind of an uncommon way to approach that. In the Northern English Brown, we keep it all straight with English hops. And we've kind of bounced back and forth, but a lot of times we use a fair amount of Fuggle in most of our English beer.
Got it. Yeah, the hop character comes through in this one. Is that a water? Is that part of your St. Louis water, you think, too? That allows the hops to stand out?
Yeah, I think, because we don't add too many mineral additions, we're able to kind of create some kind of softer flavors, and that helps out.
Are you using English yeast?
That's correct. Yeah, we use 2 different English yeasts throughout the year, and this English yeast that we use in this beer, we use in about 4 other beers throughout the year as well. Yeah.
Why do you change during the year?
Well, so the 2 different English yeasts that we use, one of them is a fairly classic yeast from Fuller's, or at least it's a Fuller's type. I suppose I shouldn't say it's exactly from Fuller's, but it usually leaves the beer very rich. It's tends to drop really clear. The other strain that we use is a little brighter, a little fruitier, and it carries forward a little bit more of a forward hop note, whereas the Fuller strain tends to be just a little bit like it doesn't seem to kind of lift hops as much.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing I like about this beer is how the yeast character is kind of taking the place of like what you'd expect malt sweetness to be. That I get in a brown ale that's just okay. It seems like it's more of a malt sweetness that kind of fights the almost toast burnt flavors that you can get when you go past nutty. But this has just the right amount of yeast fruity esters that are acting as that sweetness, and I think it's done really well in this.
And I think anything past nutty on this one goes into coffee, which isn't exactly toast or roast, but just like, I'd call it more, which I like. It's more of a coffee flavor. Is there any kind of coffee ingredient in this beer? Or?
No, but we do use. There's a malt that we use from Weyermann in this malt, and typically, Weyermann is a German producer, but there's one malt that they make that I like quite a bit, and it's Cara wheat. And Cara wheat, at least in this usage, I get a little bit of kind of a hazelnut kind of a flavor, even a little bit more than aroma. Kind of somewhere in that kind of chocolate coffee note, and I think it's nicely specific, and I always kind of seem to pick it out, and I'm always afraid not to reuse that malt too much, because I feel like we might be able to ruin something special by just keeping it in this beer.
Yeah, that's a good point. It could easily become your house flavor if they all start to skew that way, right?
Right.
Now, go ahead.
Do you mind sharing what the malt bill is for this? Just even the types of grains?
Well, I can share some stuff with you. We do as a brewery tend to try to keep things a little bit mysterious, but the general rule of thumb is that this beer is being built out of Thomas Fawcett Maris Otter as a base malt. We use some brown malt from a company called Crisp. And when we talk about our American brown later, the brown malt in that beer comes from Thomas Fawcett rather than Crisp. And there's a big difference between those two brown malts. And I think you'll see it if you're able to have the American brown as well. I've already mentioned the Cara wheat, and the rest of what kind of rounds out the beer is really just a little bit of crystal thrown in here and there.
What level bond of crystal, a dark or a light?
We use a little bit of both. I don't tend to like to only use dark or light or, let's say, medium. I kind of like to build one way or the other. I've had a few beers over the years where I've had them, and I'm like, wow, you just used a whole lot of Crystal 120. And so there's something really specific about each caramel malt. So I think sometimes when any one of those malts kind of stands out too much, I would prefer to have it kind of bookended by a couple of others that give you some better transitions. But, that's just me.
Well, this beer has a lot of malt body. Is one of those like a low-level Lullabon malt just for building body?
Actually, it's probably more related to pH and mash temperature than anything else.
Okay.
I've experienced, final gravity for me isn't really always about like residual sugar and how that feels in your mouth, because I've had beer that finished at a higher final gravity than I would have expected. Yeah. And you can sometimes kind of solve those mouthfeel problems with even just something as simple as carbonation. So, there's a lot of ways to answer that question for sure.
But you tend to have a slightly higher finishing gravities. That's ways that you're getting a body, and of course you're getting good attenuation, so you're not leaving. That's not sweetness. That's just long chain sugar.
Right. That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Got it.
It's good beer.
Yeah, it's really nice. I want to try some more beer, so we got to take a break so we can get some of it in our glass. But we've still got your ESB to try, and then your American-style brown ale, which is a favorite of mine and Tasty's. I think we both like that style quite a bit. So can you hang in there for a sec while we get us to a break?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, very good. So we are talking to Civil Life Brewing Company. We got Dylan on the line. He's their head brewer. And before the break, you can go over to craftbeer.com and check this out right now, because this segment has been brought to you by them, dedicated to telling the stories behind America's small and independent breweries. Meet the men and women behind America's beer renaissance over at craftbeer.com. We're going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll try some more beer with Dylan and learn more about the Civil Life Brewing Company. Hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out, or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy.
You're listening to the Brewing Network. Because like beer, radio shouldn't suck.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And thanks to White Labs, pure liquid yeast means better beers. White Labs boasts the highest concentration of yeast in the industry thanks to their patented Flex Cell technology and pure pitch packaging. The yeast contained and delivered using these innovations are propagated in an all-grain wort, providing the perfect nutrients for growth and optimal performance. With White Labs Pure Liquid Yeast, your finished beers will meet the high-quality flavor profiles that you intend to produce. Discover the White Labs difference. Go visit whitelabs.com and go to whitelabs.com/yeastbank to find the perfect yeast strain for your next beer. In the meantime, we are still talking to Dylan from the Civil Life Brewing Company out of St. Louis, Missouri. And Dylan, now we've got your ESB and your American Brown in our glass. So I'm excited to try these.
Cool.
What are you drinking
I'm
now?
glad. I'm still finishing up this Northern English Brown.
Okay. Now, I should point out that you guys package your beers in cans. And I wonder, I also know that I was just reading through, the pre-interview with you about, the importance, obviously, of quality and lab testing and in particular, dissolved oxygen. And it's my understanding from various guests on here, not all of them say the same thing, but dissolved oxygen can be difficult in cans, higher quantities, I guess. So I just wonder, I know you're really focused on that, so I just thought maybe you'd talk to us a little bit about how you manage it and what you're thinking.
Well, I'm kind of focused on it because we just bought a brand new DO meter, so it's kind of like Christmas. And
Nice.
We've had a DO meter in our brewery, but the new one that we have is a lot more specific, and we can really drill down to a deeper level. And so we're really excited. It's DO is really going to screw up a lot of beers, and canning lines for small craft brewers don't always often afford you the best scenario for not picking up DO. But by the time you get into these rotary fillers that you see in much larger breweries, you're talking, the price point's just out of anybody's reach.
Right, and I probably should have clarified that too, is that, on the small scale, it can be difficult, but once you get into the very expensive big scale, it seems to be a lot less and a really quality packaging, But anyway,
the units that most smaller craft brewers use are they fill they're kind of called stick fillers, and so your lid is always off the top of the can when you're filling. So getting a good purge and a good foam on beer experience during your canning run is tantamount to either good or bad DO pickup.
Gotcha.
And do you have a canning line in-house or are you using a mobile service?
Right now we're using a mobile service, and it's been going well. We sell all of the cans out of our pub rather than putting them out to distribute.
Nice.
Mainly because the cost of passing along the mobile canner would kind of put our 6-packs in a price structure that we don't really feel comfortable with.
Right.
Okay.
Does your attention to DO cause any stresses with your mobile canning operator?
Yeah, it can. It really can, because when they pick up and they move from brewery to brewery, they're kind of flying blind for the first little bit, because what might have worked perfectly at one brewery, that you were just at yesterday, you get all set up in the new brewery, and maybe your run from the tank is either a lot shorter or a lot longer, or your head pressure's, being all wobbly, or your beer temperature is different. So, or maybe you're doing something really hoppy or something that's not hoppy. So there's a lot of dynamics in just coming from the tank to your filling line, and what might look good, maybe the DO meter doesn't think that's so hot. So it can put some stress on everybody, just because trying to get these things figured out in live beer canning, you got to kind of figure it out quick.
You know what, man? We have heard people talk about mobile canning lines here, and I have never thought about those variables. I do not envy the guy in the mobile canning truck. Just on those variables you just outlined, you know?
Yeah. Especially when there's a guy at the end of the line with a DO meter.
Right.
Yeah. Like, stop it, halt. You know, they finally get the thing running smoothly.
Right.
And then, there's the DO's way up or something like that.
Oh, man.
And each brewer has their little thing that they nitpick about.
Right.
And it's different at every brewery, and so you just have to be on your toes all the time.
Oh, forget it.
Yeah, fortunately we have a really good relationship with the guys who come in and do our mobile canning, so we're able to communicate real well and, pass things along and get back to one another. But, they've got a lot of responsibilities on their side for not only ensuring that, they're getting as much product into cans and not being wasteful, but also making sure their machine's running well and their seams are running tight and, that the weights are right. So it's you've got a lot of bowling balls in the air, that's for sure.
That's true. Well, look, just coming from the home brewer side to your first pro brewing gig, and I know you've been at this for a while now. You guys opened in 2011. I like your attitude toward science, a DO meter, the labs, canning, like you. I don't know. I think you're a smart guy who's really looking to make the best out of their beer and didn't come from a long history of learning that from working in 10 breweries. So it's nice to hear.
Well, a lot of it is, trial by fire and knowing that you've had mistakes in the past and knowing that you don't want to repeat those. And I'll never really forget the day that the guy came in to sell us our first DO meter, because I was pretty confident that we really didn't need one. And we shot some beer and it was higher than expected. And part of it was that our kegs actually weren't getting purged well enough, and so we were picking up a lot of DO in the kegs.
Wow,
good to know.
So other than the cost of the equipment, I would think that a great job would be a DO meter salesperson, because I can't imagine they can almost go, how about I just show you?
Let's just go in your cooler.
And almost every time I would think brewers go, oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a way that you can kind of discern over time by, drinking your product and comparing it to fresh samples and that sort of thing. But you're finding out too late. And, you're right. I mean, DO meters are very expensive. And when you're a small craft brewer and you're deciding whether to get a new DO meter or you're going to get 50 more kegs,
right.
That's kind of a hard decision for a lot of people to make. But at least in our brewery, and with Jake as our owner, he's always been very supportive in trying to get us the tools that we feel like we need. I suppose there are probably a few tools out there that I'd like to have that I don't necessarily think we need yet.
Right.
But, you get the barrelage up there, and then, some of these things start making more and more sense.
I got it.
Yeah, if you can make a 5% difference in a certain amount of beer, if you can make 5% difference in 5 times that much beer, that's a bigger difference.
Yeah, and it's like there's so many new breweries out there that you're always going to be a new brewery to somebody who hasn't had you before, and you don't necessarily enjoy the idea that the first experience someone's going to have with your product is an oxidized beer that you just canned up 3 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah, that'll cost you.
That'll keep you up at night.
All right. I want to talk about this ESB that's in my glass now, because, and I hope you take this the right way. When I was having my gateway beers that got me into craft beer, this beer is everything that Red Hook ESB should have been. It's the beer I wanted it to be back then. And in some ways I thought it was, until I realized how much butter flavor it had in it. And right. So this has all of the qualities that my untrained palate was liking about that gateway beer without all the shit. It's the beer it should have been. I love this ESB.
Well, I truly appreciate that. I have a fondness for gateway beers, and I'll probably lose a lot of street cred by saying this, but my own gateway beers were things like Lindemans and Guinness and Hoegaarden,
right?
And all of the things that you kind of come to later, and they're kind of easy to disparage for one reason or another. But I would agree with you. Like I had plenty of Red Hook back in the day. And, sometimes beers leave you a little wanting.
Yeah. I'll go further and say that even a lot of the craft brewed ESBs that I've had over the years are missing the B part. And you've got a nice bitterness in the back of this that makes it an extra special bitter. It's certainly not bitter like an American Pale Ale. It's no IPA. But it has, like I said, all of that malt character I like in an ESB, but with some actual bitterness to it.
Well, and I think that was a decision that I think earlier you called me a smart man, and I definitely am going to need to have that recorded. But
your next employee review, I'll send you the clip.
Yeah, right. When we decided to use Chinook as the bittering hop in this beer, I think that was a good play because Chinook kind of brings something to the table where it's got enough bite to it just from an alpha acid standpoint that it gets there. But we also do almost every beer we do is first wort hopped. So there is at least a degree to which people do feel like when you first wort hop, you're able to kind of imbibe the finished brew with a different kind of bitterness. And I can't qualify that. I can't tell you that that's 100% true. But I do know that we do that in this beer and many, many others. And I don't feel like we have to use as much bittering hop to kind of get a foundation hop note across.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tacey, you had some experience with the first wort hop situation. Do you think that that's contributing to some of that? It's like a complex bitterness is what I like about it.
Yeah, it's not harsh. It's a real gentle, low cohumulin sort of character to it.
Okay.
But it doesn't have much like a lot of Chinook flavor. It just has that really nice, what I call backbone bitterness to it.
Yeah,
it's nice. How many IBUs is this beer? Would you think or guess?
I'm always a little shaky with some of these numbers, but when we run it through Beersmith, it gives us a number which I automatically always think is a little high. So I tend to tell people it's probably in the high 50s.
Okay.
Wow. I could see that. And what's the ABV?
So the ABV is it's about 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah, I think it's registered at 5.5.
That would to me would definitely put it hop forward in terms of just the numbers.
And so here's what I think. I'm like keying into why I'm loving this beer so much right now. I had to yell at my general manager here at the Hop Grenade tonight because he's supposed to always keep an American Pale Ale on tap.
I yelled at him too.
Okay, good. There's always supposed. I mean, it's almost all I drink, and I don't care where it's from. There's just always supposed to be one, and there wasn't tonight. And so I had a different style of beer, and that's okay. But now I have this one, and I know why my palate's like jumping in my mouth. Because it has a lower ABV. I know a lot of the APAs are higher, but a lower ABV, hop forward, and not a bitter bite. It's just a nice bitter.
So drinkable. I can see why the people in the pub are staying and smiling. I think this is the kind of beer I'd stay for sure.
Yeah, if this was on tap, I would just switch to this tonight, and I'd be drinking it the rest of the night. So, but luckily we got a couple cans to go through, so I'll still be doing that, Dylan.
Is this the same Fuller style yeast?
The ESB, we do use that Fuller strain on it, and it's a nice yeast to use. It's kind of in the brewery, it's real fickle to actually practically use it because, as a general rule of thumb, when we're brewing ales, we recycle ale yeast every 5 days into the next batch, and our ESB strain. This strain It flocks down real compact, and it can be a little difficult to harvest as exactly as some of the other strains that we use. And it also really hates being down on the bottom of that cone, so you really got to grab it and brew with it right away, because as much as it's okay with day 5, it really starts not loving it after that.
I'm getting, maybe it's all the cucumber I've been having recently, but I'm getting a very light, floral, super delicate, fruity aroma, and I'm just wondering if it's coming from the yeast or if there's some other English hop that you're using, because I'm really enjoying it.
We do finish this beer again with Fuggle. Fuggle has been kind of at this point in time, it's a pretty easy hop for people to find in beer, especially English beer, because it is fairly specific. And so that's one of the things, in combination with this yeast strain and a couple of the malts, that we try to kind of, keep that English theme going while still kind of, it's hard for me not to nod a little bit to American brewing in a lot of our beer, though.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, you're in the heartland, too. You got to do that. You're an American brewer in the heartland. You got to do both. So,
we had an interview real early on before we opened with a fellow here in town, Mike Sweeney, who started a really great beer resource online here, FTL Hops, and we were having a sit down with him, and he asked, I'll get the question wrong, but it was basically, what do you really want to do as a brewer? And my answer was that I really wanted to brew brown beer because it just kind of screams like Midwest to me. And sure enough, we're brewing a lot of brown beer.
And your market is reacting positively to that, obviously.
Yeah, I think there's a few answers for it. I think one answer for it is that when you put something out into a market that has mostly seen things like Newcastle, and that's your experience with brown beer, I do feel like you're probably still left a little wanting, like we've talked about some of these other things. And across the board, if you could somehow stylize our beers further, I would say that a lot of the time, to style, we tend to be on the darker path of that style. And we tend to be maybe just a smidge on the richer side of that style, even though our ABVs are pretty modest. Those are some tendencies. I don't necessarily shy away from having a little color in my beer. So we've kind of made a statement, I think, with that.
I like it. All right, so I moved on to your American Brown Ale now, too, as you were describing that as well.
Sure.
And another great one, obviously much more hop forward, like you had kind of mentioned earlier, than the Northern English. Yeah. But with a similar body and malt character, I think. It just now gets accentuated by some hop character. Tasty. I wouldn't call this extremely far off, not from Janet's, but extremely far off from the type of American brown ale you like.
Well, I make it like a Janet's Brown Light.
Okay.
Which would put it in this 4.5% to 5% sort of range.
I see.
That would be a great beer. I could compare it to that. But it's still Janet's Brown Light, even though it is.
Because it's not
still hop forward. It uses the exact same hop bill.
Yeah.
As the double version of it.
I see.
It just has more body to offset it. So it's my brown ales are always really hoppy. This is obviously not.
It's not, but it also has that same round and easy and smooth bitterness that we were talking about in the ESB, where it's there, it's prevalent. There's no question, but it's so easy on the palate.
Yeah, this beer is small enough that you can taste the little delicacies of the brown malt, and you say you added, I assume base malt, some brown malt. I think you mentioned the Fawcett chocolate or Fawcett brown. That's what it was, Fawcett. And any chocolate?
In this one, it's Fawcett is the brown malt, and we do use a chocolate malt in it. And again, we've gone to Weirman for a number of specialty malts from time to time, and I really do like Environment has a line of chocolate malt where they remove the husk to remove some of the innate bitterness, but leave you with a lot of intense flavor. So we use a chocolate malt from Environment that's dehusked as well.
Nice.
So maybe that's some of the techniques that we're noticing here too, Tasty, where it's not just the hop choice, but actually the malt choice that doesn't have the bite with the dehusk.
Yeah, it has a really good middle malt flavor, and the malt finish is like it's not bitter. It's not.
It's so
pungent.
easy.
It's easy. Yeah.
Both of these two, the ESB and the American Brown, certainly make me want to quaff a pint and another pint. The Northern English, also a good beer, but because of its richness, I might not have had 2 or 3 of those. Right, I would easily have 2 or 3 of these because I
get that.
I could drink a 6-pack. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was. Jake was in the office with me today when I was kind of refreshing myself what we had sent to you guys, and I was looking at our recipes. And one thing that kind of struck me is, even though we take a lot of pain to try to position beers in such a way that they're not overlapping each other as much as we possibly can. What struck me is that the actual malt bill between the ESB and the brown malt is less than 20% different.
Interesting.
And even though that's the case, the two beers end up dramatically different. And it's amazing how if you take some small tweaks with the 4 ingredients of beer, you can really move it a mile.
I think that speaks to even the styles that you're going for. I think that's kind of the English ale type of style, where those beers none of them are drastically different. A bitter, a special bitter, a brown ale. None of them in the English style of brewing were ever all that different either, right? They all had these strong similarities that they just kind of tweaked.
Yeah, obviously the history of beer is, there have been a lot of people that have written very well or not well, depending on what you want to think, but about the subject. And it's fascinating how, different neighborhoods would be drinking different sorts of beers and maybe calling similar beers different things or different beers similar things. And I think that the web of beer, in merry old England in the day was just very neighborhood centric. And so you'd have a way of talking about beer and ordering beer that was, it may be radically different 4 blocks away.
Right.
And, ultimately now we're kind of left with this kind of general rule of bitters, extra special bitters, ordinary bitters. And all the time, people come into the pub all the time and I'm talking to them about these different beers, and I'm like, look, at the end of the day, the English just take their pale ale really seriously. So instead of saying it's pale ale, they tell you what kind of pale ale it is. And
right.
That goes, I think a lot of people start to understand that, it's not just pale ale. It's not just stout. It's not just IPA. There's more to this whole thing than just calling a beer something.
Yeah, you're right. Well, your style of brewing here with the subtle differences, it's the type of brewery that makes me come back over and over again, because I can then not just order the American Pale Ale every time. I can actually order 3 beers off the menu and really enjoy every one of them. And I think it's worth noting, too, that you guys, so unless I'm missing something, and if I am, it would mean you really screwed up on your branding, which I don't think you did. You don't give them names other than the style that right? Like it's Civil Life American Brown Ale or Civil Life Northern English Style Brown Ale. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, that is generally true. We do have a couple of more branded names for a couple of beers, but at this point in time, it's still the vast majority of how we tackle naming is real straightforward, like you said, Pilsner, Hefeweizen, Brown, etc. Anytime we have a named beer, there's much more of a story we're trying to implicitly get across to the customer right away.
Okay.
And not all of our beers can have a story like that. It would take our bartenders an hour and a half to explain the menu.
Right. I think it's a good move. I don't fault other breweries. I think that there's something to branding, too, when they come up with cool names. I think that's all cool. But I will say this. I can't tell you how many times I am squinting my eyes and twirling a bottle around and around and around to try to figure out what style of beer it is when I'm shopping on the shelf.
Oh, yeah.
Even some of my favorite breweries, I'll go, okay, well, I like that brewery, so I'm going to go look at what this new beer is I haven't seen. And I'm telling you, half the time I can't find it. And I want to know.
Yeah. It's buried in the last sentence of the description.
If at all.
Yeah.
And that drives me insane. So I'm not saying all breweries, should have this naming scheme, but I really like it. I like the way you've done it. Beardy, you're saying that? Yeah, you like it this way?
Just call it what it is. It saves so many lawyer fees. There's not the trademark issues.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, it's just so much simpler for everybody.
I like this a lot.
I also think from our point of view, like there's something, I don't know. It's more difficult when you are taking something like an APA or a brown beer and you're giving it this name that it implies something. And from the customer's standpoint, like if they know they like APA, and they see like we label ours APA or brown beer or whatever, they know that like, okay, this beer I have a fighting chance of enjoying. Whereas, it's like you mentioned, it's a lot more mysterious.
Right.
You kind of have to fight your way to the end of the label.
And unfortunately, it's mysterious enough as it is sometimes. If you're trying a new brewery out and you're trying this, you want to do that, but it can be expensive to grab one that you don't end up liking. So don't make it even worse on me by not telling me the style.
My job's already hard enough.
Right.
Well, I already don't experiment with too many breweries enough unless they're on the show, and then I can't figure out what style it is. On top of that, I'm not buying your beer.
Pass.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah, another thank you. These are wonderful.
No problem.
All right. Well, I'm going to, usually after the show, I go back to the taps here at the Hop Grenade, but I'm just going to stick to your beer for the rest of the night. Both of these last two.
I should have sent a little more.
No, he sent a lot, actually. He sent 4 of every style.
Oh, cool. Very nice. No, we got another beer left. Each of us here, yeah. Oh. Listen, Dylan, thanks so much for being on the program and taking all this time with us. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you having me on. It's been cool.
Great. Folks, you can go to thecivillife.com and check it out and read more about them. If you're in St. Louis, go to the Civil Life Brewing Company there and check them out. And do you guys distribute outside of the St. Louis or Missouri area?
We do. We don't have a lot of distributors, but we do distribute just next door to Southern Illinois.
Okay.
St. Louis is just right on the border, so it makes sense for us to distribute on either side of the river. And we also send some beer to D.C. They need a lot of beer right now.
Right. So, keep sending it. Well, listen, Tasty every now and then gets back there, so I might make.
And I live in the Southern Illinois side. I'm from that, Everett, Illinois. So.
There you go. Oh. I can't go back because when I was 19, I was driving across the country and I got a speeding ticket and I never paid it. And I'm sure there's a warrant.
Worth $1 million.
There's a warrant out for my arrest. I'm 40 years old now. They're going to put me away for that one speeding ticket.
Hey, but when you're ready to retire, it's a free housing situation.
Good point.
Next time I'm back in the area, I'll definitely come by the brewery and
there you go.
Drink some of this stuff right off the tap.
Yeah, please do.
I will.
All right, Dylan. Thanks again. You have a good one. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate you.
Take care. All right. Wow. I love those last 2 beers.
It's easy to
I like
drink.
the first one also.
I'm drinking twice as much as I usually drink because they're so light.
Well, I like the first one a lot too, but it's the one where you have a pint and you enjoy every drop of it, but then it just wasn't the one I was going to keep quaffing. So I liked it, and I thought, okay, here we go. Got to that ESB though. All right.
Yeah.
Found my groove. I don't have to order off my own tap list now.
I was surprised when he said it's 50 IBUs. To me, I would have guessed a little lower.
Yeah, I
he's
thought
done a good job
it
hiding
came
those.
across as lower.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that round, smooth, nice IBU flavor.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
St. Louis water probably, too.
All right. Well, let me do this. I got to get us to a break. What do I have to let you know before that break? GreatFermentations.com. Go check them out. They got the largest catalog of Blickman products on the web, and their staff is some of the best trained in the business on using those products. They offer top-notch customer service and same-day shipping on a lot of their items. So go check them out at GreatFermentations.com or at GR8 Fermentation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's GreatFermentations.com. All right. We're going to take one last little break here. Maybe, if I can get the software to work for me. That's going to happen. When we come back, we got to wrap up our Twitter game, which I hear was a blast.
Oh, yeah. We got a lot of tweets.
Blowing it up.
A lot of twats, whatever the kids say.
We're going to have a lot of great gift ideas.
All right. We'll know what to get Bevo for Christmas. When we come back, we'll wrap things up with that and more. Hang in there. It's The Session.
Listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Check out their brand new patent-pending mash and boil 110-volt electric mashing and boiling unit. This compact all-stainless unit lets you mash, sparge, and boil just about anywhere that has a 110-volt plug. Double-wall construction adds to efficiency and safety, and a precise thermostat keeps temperatures where you want them. Unlike insulated buckets and converted coolers, multiple temperature rest mashing is easy to do, all for under $300. They also feature the Mark II work pump, a magnetic drive high-temperature pump that does the work of pumps that cost twice as much, as well as exclusive Brewer's Edge regulators and quality Keg King kegs and disconnects. Check them out today at williamsbrewing.com to brews their vast selection.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamel Zanishev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
Hi, this is Wayne Wombles from Cigar City Brewing, and you're listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
Yeah, welcome back to the program. Thanks to the Civil Life Brewing Company for hanging out with us and sending us beer.
Right. All three were great. None of them were an IPA.
Also, I do want to point out that they overnighted that beer to us because we had some communication issues, and they were like, "Oh, we got to get it to you."
Oh,
it was really
nice.
cool.
Well, that made it taste three times as good, since it's 3 times the price to get it.
Yeah,
right. That's nice of them. I always feel bad, but you got to send beer if you're going to be on the show, because what else are we going to talk to you about? But it is still very nice of people when they do that. Also, then his beer didn't sit in some hot
well, no, it got here in this
truck somewhere.
Nice cold winter weather across the country.
I just sat in my living room in front of my heater. I'm kidding. I put it right in the fridge. I'm kidding.
Girl. Yeah, I'm still enjoying the ESB right now myself.
I got some left too.
Yeah,
lucky guy.
Okay. How about some Twitter game results? Gonna do that, right?
Yeah. Christmas ideas.
Today's
for our beloved Bevo.
What would the Brewing Network? What should the Brewing Network buy Bevo for Christmas?
Half her lingerie
was our Twitter game. And what do we have, Beardy?
I whittled it down.
Okay, to how many?
Is that one of them?
I could either do 8 or 9.
Whoa, gosh, that's a lot. There's really that many good ones?
Fine, I could whittle it down
to 5?
To 1. Yeah, I could do 5.
I mean, if there's 8 like stellar ones, I'll hear them.
Okay, then I'll whittle it down from 8 or 9, and then we'll see how many we end up with.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Fried Trout says earplugs and a taser.
Not bad. Knows his audience.
Yeah. Tony D says an assistant.
That's ridiculous.
I'm not sure what for, but apparently. Scott says Justin should finally turn over the Christmas striptease tape he's been holding on to for all these years.
Oh, that's a good one.
Deep cut.
On the internet.
Yeah, the high resolution one.
That's a good one because, it would be a nice gift back to you, that you don't have to worry about it out in the ether anymore.
But it's there forever. Even though when you try to look it up, which I've done, you can't really, it's such a pixelated mess.
Right.
But it's also still just, it is what it is. And my friend actually sent it to me and she was like, oh my God, is this you? I was like, what are you talking about? I don't see anything.
Right.
There's some deniability because of the pixelation.
Exactly.
You're welcome.
That's what I'm saying. We got the high-res copy. We're holding that ransom.
Right.
Yeah.
It was actually a 4K camera.
Yeah, exactly.
With low light.
Well, After Effects.
Let's see. We've got Trev says Dyson Airblade for sure. And at first I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But then I seem to remember Bevo wanting one to do her dishes. Because you could just dip a plate and dry it.
Did I really?
Well,
I have a dishwasher, so no, that's not.
Actually, nobody's surprised that your white trash ass would say, I want a Dyson to dry my dishes.
Well, but now I don't use them because of the poop air thing. So.
Oh, my God.
Well, this would be a Dyson just for the dishes.
Just for the dishes?
Yeah, you don't have to mount it in your bathroom.
You wouldn't be doubling.
Yeah, it's your Airblade. You can put it wherever you want.
Jesus Christ.
God, I probably did say something stupid like that.
I hope somebody in there said, send her to college.
Nobody said that.
Oh, boy.
You suck.
Yeah. Let's see. Some guy named Terrence Green said, a vasectomy for Sam on air and Cheez-Its.
And Cheez-Its.
Oh, my God, I love Cheez-Its.
Okay. I
And
like
vasectomy.
And vasectomy. Yeah, I've always loved them.
And Sam with the vasectomy, that's even better.
I mean, so far, that is actually the most thoughtful gift to Bevo.
Yeah.
That would
It's got
mean
a little bit of everything.
the most to her.
And it probably would mean a lot to Sam because then we would get to stop practicing abstinence.
Right. Yeah. So what method are you practicing now, Sam?
You have to dump with your girlfriend something.
You know what method, man.
And it would be on air, so we'd get to see the joy on his face.
Yeah, true. All right.
Let's see. John says a full MP3 player of Sugar Valley Brewer original songs. Of course.
A full MP3 player. That's like a half a megabyte of songs, I think.
Yeah, from the 1990s.
Okay.
And then, let's see. The Brewer of Seville says a lifetime supply of Big O kits.
Okay.
That's it.
Huh?
Because you told me to whittle it down. So there are a mystery few finalists.
Okay. I'm going to eliminate an assistant because that ain't ever going to happen.
All right.
Reality sets in.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm going to eliminate Sugar Valley songs. Although I love them. I know people wouldn't like that. I'm going to eliminate the Big O kit because she just explained that there's no sex. So what's the Big O kit going to do?
It sounds like that'd be something for her.
Because it has like Climax gel
There's like a little
and
something
like
for me, right?
Mini vibrator.
It's only half for you, I think. I think even the mini vibrator goes on the dude.
Yeah, it goes to the top of the dude thing.
I'm pretty sure.
The ding.
So, in other words, in order for that gift to win, the vasectomy gift would also have to be a precursor.
Okay.
So I'm going to eliminate that.
We're not getting her 2 gifts this year.
No.
I'm going to eliminate give back the stripper tape, because that also is never going to happen. So that leaves us with 3. Earplugs and a taser. I think that one's thoughtful.
Very nice. Very well conceived.
I would use both of those things.
A Dyson for her dishes. A Dyson Airblade for her dishes.
That might be my favorite.
Because I don't remember hearing it, but I have no doubt in my mind that Bevo would say that.
Yeah, it took me a second. I'm like, I don't get it.
No doubt whatsoever.
I don't remember saying it, but I also have no doubt that I said it.
If she were hand drying her dishes, she would have said it.
Right.
Now, first thing she says is, I got a washer. So.
Right.
But if she wasn't, she'd have to.
I recently got a dishwasher. I didn't always have one.
So you were towel drying before. That Dyson would have been awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, blowing poop all over your freshly clean dish.
Because it would have been because we'd have gotten it for her, and she'd have been like, Sam, mount it in the bathroom, and then just to do the dishes.
I would just do the dishes in the bathroom.
Again.
Still.
That's not the dishwasher you're referring to?
Shut up, Warren.
Yeah. She just got a bathtub with jets to kill 2 birds with one stone. She's like, now I get a jacuzzi tub and a dishwasher.
Oh, my God.
And then the third and final one on the list, I'm going to put a vasectomy for Sam on air.
With the Cheez-Its.
With Cheez-Its, of course. Now, of those 3, which one is an actual listener and not a Terrence? Are there 2? Are the Dyson and the earplugs
the vasectomy
both?
One is Terrence.
Yeah. So he might get an honorary win. I'll still allow the vote, but he's not going to get the prize. Are the other 2 normal people?
I think. I mean, as normal as you can be on Twitter.
Fair enough. Okay, let's vote.
Well, I would like to say something on behalf of the live vasectomy.
Okay.
Sam that would be an awesome show. I mean, Sam would.
It would be.
He would own that.
You're right. Yeah. Sam knows how to perform under duress.
Get a little bit beyond just the name of it. Think of the whole what it would be like.
You're right.
Would we leave the window open to the hop grenade while it happened?
Well, I guess we'd have to move the show to the hospital.
We'd pull
Right.
I don't know.
It would be cheaper if it was done here, right? Hospitals are expensive.
It's a good point.
What a rabbi.
Tasty makes a good point because it could be the second runner-up to My Dream of Dying on the Air, right? Like, I always say that's going to be great radio, but this would be pretty damn good based on Sam's ability to perform, the actual act.
Yeah.
Our response to watching him get,
snipped. Oh, man.
All right, well, even if we had to go to the hospital, it would be a show,
Of course, yeah.
And the surgery cam could be the live stream.
You're right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll scrub up for that.
I also just want to say we don't practice abstinence. Don't feel that bad for Sam.
Yeah, just to backtrack now.
Yeah, we don't. Sam
I
does.
still want to
mess it on my story now.
Did Sam just start texting you? Why do you have to tell everybody I don't get any? God,
that
was between us.
I'm a nice person. I wouldn't do that.
It's all for the show, people.
Right. Every little bit. Okay.
It's a bit.
Should we vote? Raise your hand if it's earplugs and a taser. And, okay, everybody gets 2 votes because we're going to do a runner-up on this one. So raise your hand if it's for earplugs and a taser.
I can vote twice, not 2 for the one.
There we go. Bevo voted for that, which means that should be.
I want to know what she's going to do with it.
That's not how things work.
No, the giver.
Go?
Thanks, guys.
The giver chooses the gift.
Literally 2 things that I would use.
Right. So
practical gift. Oh, yeah.
So that ain't happening.
No.
Okay. Raise your hand if it's a Dyson for doing dishes.
A new dishwasher.
And that's 3.
Right.
That's our winner. So we don't have to have a runner-up. And raise your hand, of course, if it's a vasectomy for Sam. That actually was the most votes, but so that would be our main winner. But our runner-up, Dyson for dishes, is our winner tonight because I'm not sending a prize to Terrence.
No.
So Yeah, but thank you for playing, Terrence. You did a good job.
Yeah, you get to pay for the vasectomy when we do.
So you just need to do the thing about Dyson for Dishes guy, and Bevo will get you a prize from our Brewing Network store.
Good job, Trev.
Yeah, well done, Trev.
Winner.
Deep pull.
All right.
What if I just made that whole thing up, and he just meant a Dyson Airblade for her bathroom?
Hey,
we
good for him.
Then I think I did all the work, so then I should get the prize.
Better than anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you another shirt. If you want.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, hey, go to NeshamonyCreekBrewing.com. They've been on the Philly beer scene since 2012, and they do great things over there. 2-time GABF Vienna-style lager winner. Also bronze for their smoke lager. They got a great tap room, plus a new tap room. If you can't make it to Croydon, you can enter their. You can go up to their second location in Jenkintown, called the Burrow Brew House, which features a full menu and 22 beers on tap, including guest taps from local breweries, meaderies, as well as Pennsylvania cider. So go to NeshamonyCreekBrewing.com and go to Neshamony Creek Brewing to check them out. Also, if you're looking for more information on how to brand your brews, check out the Branding Brews podcast. It's a deep inside look at everything that revolves around branding and marketing a brewery. Branding Brews interviews industry professionals covering in-depth strategies and topics like labels, packaging, websites, social media content, trademark, and a whole lot more. Whether you're in sales and marketing or you own a brewery, take a look at starting a brewery by listening to the Branding Brews podcast. Go to brandingbrews.com. All right. And the last one I have to do is, of course, everybody's favorite, Adam and Eve. You can go to adamandeve.com right now. Use coupon code BNARMY. That's BNARMY. And at checkout, I think you end up getting the free Big O kit. You get 50% off almost any one item that you choose, plus free shipping, plus the Big O kit, which, now that we'll clarify this since we were talking about it with Bevo. Exclusive Climax gel, a mini vibrator, although we have heard that vibrator is like special and it goes on the dude to be the thing, to do the thing. And then free shipping and all the other things. So go to adamandeve.com and use coupon code BNARMY. I have it under... I'm losing my words.
You're having a stroke.
Yeah.
Smile for me. I want to make sure your face isn't lopsided.
I think I just stroked out.
Is that mini vibrator in you right now? Is that one?
Yeah.
Did you somewhere?
I have it under good information that the BNARMY coupon code will not be around for all that much longer. So you should go to adamandeve.com and use it, BNARMY, preferably before the end of the year, I would say. All right. So do that. Okay. Next week, Booth Brewing Company. Are we done here, folks?
In studio.
In studio. I like it. Am I here next week?
Who knows? I think so. I think you're not here the next week.
You're right. I'm here next week. And then I got to go to Colorado. Doing a little opening or a release event with Sully in Fort Collins. The 21st Amendment is coming to Colorado.
Oh, that's right.
And they're doing a release party at the Hop Grenade Fort Collins. So if you're out there,
on the short list of places that they'll be. That's great.
Yep. I'll be there with Sully. We're going to be doing a little presentation and hanging out with you. So come see us in Fort Collins. I'll be there. I think that's on Friday, December 7th. We're doing it. I'll be out there from the 6th through the weekend. So come see us in Fort Collins. And then we got Booth Brewing on the show next week. And lots more happening. Hidden Mother Brewing Company is coming up soon. And Bevo's doing a great job booking everything. So take care of yourselves out there. We'll see you next week.
JP's an asshole, Justin's a nice guy, and when